Welcome to the Think Different podcast, episode 74. Here again for another great week of Apple Talk from your former Apple genius and your former Apple creative to enjoy the Apple world as 2020 comes to a close. And we want to thank you for joining us to the Think Different podcast for every single episode. Now, if you haven't checked this out, go on our YouTube channel. We have an exclusive video right now showing my house, the entire home automation of my home, showing you all the cool lights, all the cool setups, the scenes that we have, the auto lock doors, the auto turn on lights, the auto switches. It's really amazing. Check out our YouTube channel for all that great content. And of course, you can listen to the audio version of our podcast every single Friday. This week was extremely special. We've been building it up for months, and it has finally happened. And I am proud to say at this point that I have officially got Frank back on the podcast. Frank, how you doing?
I'm good. Well, I don't think that's the top on the bill today.
No.
But I'm back. Got a new Fios wireless router, and we're in good shape.
And you're using the YouTube TV as well. So far, that's been going pretty good?
Yes. Yeah. You know, it's a little early in the game, but we have all of the channels all the football we want, both college and pro, all of the channels we're interested in. So far, plus the other big plus with it is there's unlimited DVR. Have up to 5 members of your household connected to it.
Well, then add me to your household, man.
Yeah.
I'm perfect for that.
Yeah.
So that's right. So if Frank doesn't add me to YouTube TV, folks, I'm going to let the world know about that because he's selfish and doesn't want me to be a part of his family. But speaking of family, a lot of things have happened in the last couple of days since the last episodes aired on Friday because we had to go in to the hospital because as of December 11th of 2020, we're ending the year with a bang because my son, Lucas Wiliam, has been born into this world. And as of this recording, I am recording as we are in the hospital for this episode to record. And I gotta tell you, it was such an amazing feeling to have my child born, and my wife especially, who went through months of labor, months of hell, now in the middle of recovery, right next to me in the bed. Months of labor, that's it. Months of labor. Months and agonies of labor. She's interrupting the episode, but that's okay. She can make a quiet appearance. I mean, she's on the most popular video on our YouTube channel, after all, with our Apple Maps versus Waze episode.
There you go.
But here we are. For me, this has been a tremendous feeling to have a child to hold in my hands. Came a little premature, only 36 weeks, but he's recovering very quickly. He just wants to go home and be in front of the fireplace and see Santa come down the fireplace. Of course, it won't be lit at that time, to give Lucas all his gifts and love. And I am so happy. I can now say I'm a father, and that is one of the coolest feelings to have.
Yes. Yeah. You're right. It is. Congratulations to both you and especially to Tara, because now she has her son, but she still has to put up with you. But other than
she does have to put up with me. Unfortunately, when it comes to Lucas, it's a package deal. It's me and Lucas. There is no other way it could have worked. So, well, it's going to be such a great family. I cannot wait. A lot of things are going to be changing in my life in the next couple of weeks with Lucas being born. Plus, I'm starting a brand new position, which is awesome. Can't wait to start that new job in a couple of weeks, and it's the holidays. So very life-changing time for me, but we still wanted to get an episode in, even though all this is going on. We wanted to get an episode in, and last week, if you watched episode 73, we talked about the top 5 moments or products of Apple of 2020. Me and my best friend John came aboard to talk about those things, but Frank, because he was having all these internet changes, couldn't be on, but here he is this week. So I figured let's continue this with part dual, or Dual X, or whatever. What is it called? Dual X. We'll call it Dual X, DEUX. Frank's, what's that? Part due? Yeah, part Dual X.
Dude.
Yeah. Hey, if someone's going to make a word and they there's no such thing as silent words. Like that. It's only in the English language that probably exists. with silent words. No, it's part Dulex. And Frank, you're going to give your top 5 moments or favorite things of Apple this year. And we're going to follow up this episode next time for the worst of 2020 from Apple. So, Frank, let's start with your bottom, work your way up, and we'll have a discussion about it. Now, this might be some repeats from our episode. You didn't listen to our episode, though, right?
No.
No, see, that's a great podcasting right here that he doesn't want to listen to our episodes.
Well, I didn't want to listen to it because I didn't want to be influenced by it.
Oh, a good excuse. All right. So let's talk about your 5th moment or product from Apple this year.
The 5th, I don't know if I'm still satisfied with this, but I'm going to go with iOS 14.
Okay. That was talked about as the number 2 item that John said. I didn't even put iOS 14 on the list. So what was your reasoning for iOS 14?
Well, I love it. It's got a lot of great enhancements. It's got, the reason I put it 5th was because at this point, I think it's expected that the iOS system, each iteration is going to get better and better. And I just think it's expected from all of the Apple users that each time they come out with a new iOS, that there's going to be some components that just wow us. And then there's going to be some components that people are saying, well, how come that's not in there yet? I just think it's an ever-growing item. And each time it never ceases to impress me. And because I don't know, I don't know what else they can put in these things, but each time they do, it's always something new. Now the widgets, that was very good. The library, you can hide apps. I think, all of those enhancements are nice. It's certainly faster. The organization is better. They changed some of the cosmetics, the rounded icons, the rounded corner icons, things like that. Overall, I really do like it, but I ranked it as 5th in the year.
Yeah, iOS 14 wasn't. I even I felt like I haven't taken advantage of the widgets. I do have them. I'm using them. There's not enough though for me that makes me want to jump and use them. There's a lot of the apps that I use don't have a widget form, so I don't know really other than stocks and I think battery and weather. That's the only thing I use. Beyond that, I have nothing else that I use.
You don't use the maps?
The maps, not really. I mean, the maps, they work as I expect them to work. It's not like there was a new feature in maps that blew my mind.
Right.
That was wow. Everything's just getting smarter and better. But for the iOS to, going from 6 to 7 was one of the biggest jumps I think ever. And that was, and it's been years since I've ever said, wow, this iOS is the best. Last year's was simply more internal improvements, especially 12 was more about internal improvements because 11 was a disaster. And we were there at the Apple Store for that. 12 was more fixing the problems, which it did, which made it one of the better iOS releases. But this one's been pretty good too. But nothing, it didn't stand out for me as a wow moment. Mm-hmm. What was your number 4?
Number 4 is Apple One.
Apple One. Okay, so that was not on any of our lists.
The services packages that I think was a great idea for them to package these into 3 separate units. You get an individual with Apple Music, Apple TV, Apple Arcade, and 50 gigabytes of iCloud. That's at $15 a month. A family at $20 a month with up to 5 members. You get Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Apple Arcade, and iCloud of 200 gigabytes. But the big one for me is the premium. Now, the premium is only $10 more than the family. You get Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Apple Arcade, iCloud, 2 terabytes, Apple News, and Apple Fitness Plus. Now, the Apple Fitness Plus was released today. I haven't had a chance to take a look at it, but some of the early reviews, people are really liking it. And they think that they'll be able to build on this and make it a big competitor in that field of exercise, against Peloton and other. The reason I liked it, for $30 a month, you get all of that activity. Now, I was already subscribing to Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Apple Arcade, individual. Well, I was a family membership up to 5 people, plus Apple News and Apple Fitness. The Apple News, I do look at the news there once in a while, magazine subscriptions. They have some that I like. And so I went through and I selected the ones I wanted. And there are some that I find very interesting and then I'll read. So, I mean, for $10 a month, I get the News Plus and the Fitness Plus and 2 terabytes of data for $10. So I felt that's worth it. And you can share that amongst 5 family members.
Mm-hmm.
Each can have their own library in the magazine subscriptions and in the music. So I think that was well worth the money. And I think that's going to improve their subscription to their services.
Based on all the services I would have to spend $5 more to get the premium of the Apple Fitness Plus, the News Plus, and the Apple Arcade, which are the things that I don't have right now. Like contemplating if I really think it's worth it to do it. Now, I haven't upgraded Apple One because Apple Fitness Plus was not out yet. So there was no point for me to pay that. That's why I waited. Now, I don't know if I'm going to do it or not. It really just comes down to if me and my wife will both be interested in using that. Now, I can see when Lucas is like 5 years old and he's going to be really into iOS. Yeah, Apple Arcade will definitely be worth buying and using. And I could see that where I can say, okay, now I would subscribe and upgrade because it costs $5 anyway by itself. So, and Apple Fitness, I want to definitely use Apple Fitness. I want to give it a try with the Apple Watch and see if it's really that engaging.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's a good service. I think it's a good idea. Just not everything was out yet, so I couldn't rush and do that upgrade. Because right now, technically, I'm saving money and I'm not using the other items. You know, plus Apple TV Plus has not been a breakout thing that I need to watch. You know, I mean, honestly, are there any shows you even watch on there?
Well, I'm waiting for the new seasons to begin, but I'll tell you, we watched the morning news. That was an excellent series. Servant, See, The Truth Be Told. They were all very good. Yeah, we're enjoying the ones that are out there. So the only one I didn't watch was your favorite, Snoopy.
What was your number 3?
My number 3 is the HomePod Mini, believe it or not.
Yep. I didn't even buy it yet, and I still think it's one of the top moments or products of this year.
I'm kind of inundated with some of the other speakers that we had at the store. I have the Sonos 1 and the Sonos 5. So I think I'm going to try to market those and pick up some HomePods. The fact that you can use Siri as an intercom system, you can play your music throughout the house with those same song or different songs, which is kind of interesting. Has some very interesting features. Plus, it has Apple's built-in privacy. So I'm real, and at the price point, I'm pretty intrigued at $99. I spent more than that for my 2 Sonos 1s. They were like $1.50.
By the way, if you heard that electronic sound, that's right. The wife is going to bed. So, yeah, but HomePod Mini definitely is great. I have the HomePod now, and I love the product. I mean, definitely was not worth $350 to buy, especially I got 2 of them. So really, that's a $700 value without tax that I paid for speakers. There's no way they're worth that. We got a really good deal. But if you have now, I think it's definitely worth getting it. So I agree on that one. What's your number 2?
Number 2 is my iPhone 12 Pro Max.
I was actually John's number 1. Listening to his episode last week, he didn't think he was going to like it as much as he did. You know, but he likes the bigger screen size. He likes the battery. The camera takes great pictures. So he's extremely happy with it. That was his top thing.
Well, as you know, I had the 10, so I had the smaller screen size. And I was a little reluctant to go to the large phone again, but I thought, I'll give it a try. It's fast. The downloads and upload times are fast, whether you're connected to 5G or not. The A14 Bionic chip, it's loads of technological advances. That's going to give a nice, smooth integration into the whole Apple infrastructure, going from your iPad, your phone, your Mac. The whole infrastructure is really being built around the A14 and my number 1 pick, the M1 chip and the MacBook Air.
What do you think? And what do you think my number 1 was?
For you, I think your number one was a MacBook Air.
It was the M1 specifically.
Well, okay, but I grouped them together because I'm looking at those as one unit this time.
Sure.
Because they were both. The MacBook Air was released specifically with the M1 chip.
My number 2 was my stock split of Apple. The amount of stock, the $2 trillion.
That was a good choice.
Thank you, sir.
That.
Yeah, well, that's why I said top moments. It wasn't just products that I said.
Yeah.
So, and my other thing was the fight. One of my other numbers was the fight on Epic. I thought Apple, that was like my moment because it was such a heated battle. And I thought it was a top moment because it's Apple standing up for themselves. And I thought Apple has responded to that. That's why I think they deserve a lot of credit for that. But going back to the M1, like I said, this M1 is not a today change. It's going to be a change in a long line of systems. That's why I think it's so significant. It's not something maybe today you could say is like the greatest thing ever, but the significance of what this will lead to is what I think is why it's number one.
Exactly. The M1 is the springboard on which Apple is going to launch their future computers, whether everything from an iMac to your MacBook Air, your Mac Pro, right on down through the entire line, and integrating that, a seamless integration with the computers and the phones and the iPads. I think it's going to reach a point where they're not going to look any different. I mean, right now, the way it's set up, I can go on my Mac, do a numbers spreadsheet, and store it in the cloud, open it on my iPad or my iPhone, and it's exactly the same except for the screen size.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that integration is just phenomenal.
Yeah, and that's I guess Big Sur could be tied into the M1 because Big Sur, was made within mind of the M1.
Right.
That's why it exists the way it does because it's finally getting that integration for these two to work together. So, yeah, M1, I feel like there should be no other option on top of the list of anybody's 2020. If they are, they're wrong. I mean, there's only one option. That's the M1. There's only one thing that has gotten the community to get together and say, yeah, this is probably the best thing. And even though we don't have the products in our hands, again, we're going to be buying a product with M1 in it at some point, or M2 or whatever version they have. And it's going to be a great change from probably what we have now.
Yeah. I think this is even on a bigger scale than when Apple went from the PowerPC chip to
I agree.
The Intel, much grander scale.
Right. And because they also have the experience now. They've done it before. Maybe Rosetta was not as easy as a transition. Plus, the market wasn't very universal yet where, remember, iOS was not out at the time.
Right.
Now with iOS being out, a lot of developers are mostly make products for iOS first before any other platform. And maybe Windows is like a second. Those are the two most important platforms, is Windows and iOS, because they have to make it all compatible. So that's why I think it's important. But good list, Frank. I'm going to give you credit. I still don't think the iPhone 12 should be on the list. I mean, we still have to get to some of the worst of 2020, but we're going to save that for next time. But as far as this year goes all together, which, you've been around Apple products, 13 years now since you joined with the company.
Yep.
Would you say, how was this year overall for you? Would you say it was a good, a bad, a middle?
I would say it's a good year.
Yeah, I also agree. I give it a thumbs up this year.
But it's getting harder for them because the expectations from everyone is so high for Apple now. Any little slip, the critics jump on it. But as an Apple user, I'm always very pleased with what they do for the most part. So.
Yeah, I think a part of my list too is also how Apple responded to the pandemic and how Apple products then became an essential product for businesses or anybody. So Apple became a $2 trillion company because of COVID. I really do feel like that's the reason why. And then when they went for their split, it made it much more profitable to be a part of them. And this was a great year for them. I think, again, they're still listening to their fans. They're finally starting to correct some of the mistakes, and then they're also pushing new products to the future with the M1. They came up with the iPhone SE2, which was a much more affordable phone. Again, another one of my top 5 products that I did. So you can listen to
I didn't even look.
Well, Frank, there are just some things that can't fit in the top 5 list, all right? So that's why, but that's what's good. See, that's why you have my opinion, you had John's opinion, now we have yours. Everyone had something different on their list that the other person didn't have. Like he had the iPad Air, something you don't think about, but that was also a new product this year with a new Touch ID feature on there. You talked about Apple One. That wasn't on either of our lists. So it's good. Everyone's got their own list, but mine's, of course, the correct list.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'll have to make sure I get right in line with yours.
That's right. Well, that was our episode this week for the podcast. We are going to take a break with the holiday next week. We want people to enjoy themselves for next week. So enjoy your holidays, and we will return with the worst of 2020 because even though there's a lot of great, there were some stupid things that Apple does every year, and we're going to talk about the stupid things of 2020. I'm not even going to call it the worst. I'm going to call it the stupid. So we'll go with stupid. Apple just came out with another stupid mistake about a week ago.
That don't preview it.
Okay. Well, we're going to save that for the preview, but we want to thank you guys for joining us for this episode of the Think Different podcast, live in my hospital, Frank at home as usual, with working internet, and the birth of a new disciple of the world, Mr. Lucas Wiliam, has joined this world, and if you want to send him presents, you should do that. Absolutely. Make sure you send him tons of presents for Santa to bring down his tree.
Apple stock, right?
Apple stock would be a terrific gift for Lucas Wiliam. It's a great investment to propel himself into the future when he finally achieves the dream of becoming a professional wrestler. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your week. And you guys sleep well. And I love each and every one.